I definitely feel like I'm going to be reading a female. Interestingly, there's been a passing that's been coming through in a family that has actually been either unexplained or under weird circumstances. And then there's also reference to mom, so I feel like I'm going to be talking about this person's mother as well.
Hi, Tyler.
Great to meet you.
I'm Carmen Electra.
Oh, great to meet you.
Tyler might recognize me through Baywatch, MTV, or more currently, hosting a show on WeTV. Come with me.
Absolutely. So I know the name Carmen Electra. I know that she's a model, and that's the extent of what I knew about her.
I've become a huge fan of yours.
Oh, I'm so thankful. Thanks for watching.
I do believe that there are psychics that are scammers, but then I do believe that people have special abilities and intuition. I'm willing to be open through this process.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
I am too.
To do this, yes.
I have butterflies and my heart's racing, but in a good way.
Yeah.
In a good way.
You know, the general premise behind what I do is that I work as a clairvoyant, so I see information. But it's really just my process of basically sitting down, concentrating, connecting, and then just delivering specific pieces of information and try to bring through as many people as I can.
Yes.
So now, generally I hold on to an object. So which one would you like to have me hold on to
Well,
first?
I actually have 2 photos.
Great.
So,
Oh, awesome. Great. Thank you.
yes.
And we'll see what we can do as far as details go in the way that it comes across. So I have, okay. So on one hand, I have an older woman that's coming through that's absolutely adorable when she's coming across. She comes through very maternally, like a very, very close connection the way that it pops in.
Okay, okay.
This is funny. I don't know what this is she's referencing to singing.
That's my mom.
Really?
She was a singer.
Was she? Wow.
Yeah, that's how my mom and dad met.
She's just so sweet, is really the only way I can put it. She is acknowledging that a ring was lost that was hers. And this did happen, and she knows about it.
You're absolutely right.
And she's like, it's just an object, it's just a thing. But it was her ring.
Yeah, it was.
And she knew about it.
And it went missing from the house.
Yeah. She does actually connect hands with a child that's passed. She's connecting to a miscarriage.
Yes.
And so she knows about the miscarriage.
Yes, and that, she talked about it, and it bothered her.
Yeah.
She really felt bad about that.
But she makes it a point to acknowledge that she is with that child. There's reference to the cancer susceptibility. We get the reference to an individual who would have the concern for cancer. So, has your mother dealt with any cancers or any cancers?
She passed from a brain tumor, brain cancer.
I'm so sorry.
I miss her tremendously. I mean, we were best friends, and she lived 2 years, you know, fighting cancer. But I did go through a really hard time where I just couldn't face it.
Sure.
I was so young, I didn't really know how to, you know, no one teaches you how to deal with this.
Right.
Which was, it was hard. It was hard to see her like that. It was hard to see this tough fight. I mean, she's a warrior. And then to see her in a vulnerable position, that just... I remember I just started working for MTV, and it was a big break in my career. And I flew my mom out, and I didn't realize that she was having really bad headaches, and she was feeling really sick. And I was so young at the time that I kind of took it personal. And I remember bringing her to set, and I wanted her to be happy and, you know, say so much, but she just wanted to go back and get in the bed. And I was so busy in my own head with work and, like, a lot of distractions. Absolutely. And I hope she knows that I was not being insensitive. I just didn't realize.
Yeah.
It takes a very strong person to be around anyone that's going through an illness. And then there are the rare, beautiful people. My brother. My brother gave up everything to be by her side. And he's so strong to do that. I didn't do that. And there's a part of me that feels really guilty because I felt like I should have been there more.
Mom is acknowledging very clearly, she references to the last 6 months of her life, okay? She's acknowledging that originally when there was this issue that would later be found to be cancer, she's acknowledging with this that she knew a little earlier and was a little like frightened by this, to the feeling of like, I can tell something's wrong, I know something's wrong, but she's saying that she delayed going. And there is an apology for that.
When he said that she knew something was really wrong with her, but didn't go to the doctor, it all makes sense to me now. And I feel sad that she's apologizing. I don't want to apologize, I understand.
I would say, so with Mom and the way this is coming through, one of the big messages I have to convey is that she acknowledges that before she passed, she had a brief moment of clarity. And in that brief moment of clarity, it's like, I accept that everything's fine. I know that I can finally pass away. She acknowledges that in the 2 days after you visited, she was like, I finally have this release. I can just pass now.
Yeah. When I did go home to say goodbye to her, her face lit up and she started crying. And it was happy tears, kind of, like she was happy to see me.
Right.
And I actually told her it was okay to move on.
Right. She loves you so much, and you will always be her little girl. And when she comes through, I mean, honestly, she still comes through, and she has this vision of holding a baby. But it's not the baby, she's just on the other side. It's you. And when she comes through, that is the memory that she'll love forever, and that is always how she'll see you. So I hope you know that.
Oh, that makes me feel better.
Good.
I just need to know. I feel changed by Tyler's reading today because I don't need to carry around a ton of guilt and weight on my shoulders about my mom's passing. I handled it the only way I knew how. Now I know that she understands that, and that was a very key message to me.
Interesting. Okay. I have another woman that's coming through who's acknowledging, like, no, I didn't live even remotely close to a full life. And that's the one that I'm really kind of interested in, because this person's showing me a big red flag. That always indicates this is me, this is me, this is me. Like, I have a big message to deliver.
I'm curious.
Okay? Okay. We're gonna talk about some things. There's actually a lot kind of coming through with this one. Oh God, there's like a bunch of ones. I'm so sorry, give me one sec.
Okay.
that, I'm like, the way this is being conveyed is I have this younger individual that would be like a sibling. This person died way too soon because of the amount of life that they had. But the way that this is coming across is that I feel I have to call this an incident or an event.
I feel like you're touching on something, the most important thing. Reason that I'm here.
From her perspective, I feel completely fine. She's acknowledging that after she died, she's referencing to conflict in the way that this comes across. Like, there was some hardcore negativity after I died. And from her perspective, there's still a lack of a release because of this.
That makes a lot of sense. That's probably my sister, Debbie. She passed away when she was 40 years old. There's always been a mystery of her death. I think anytime someone dies young, you just wonder. You wonder what happened, what could have gone wrong. And for me, I haven't been able to understand it. To a lot of people, it's very mysterious. I've talked it out, I've asked a lot of questions. And I get a lot of different answers, and...
I don't know why she's emphasizing a public place.
Yeah, she did pass at a pretty public place. Yeah, you're right. There's a lake that they would go camping at all the time. And she ended up passing there.
She's acknowledging she was not conscious when she passed, which I'll say, but this comes through as an accident.
It does.
It does, but an accident with non-natural elements to it.
I'm really very, very, very curious about this. I remember thinking that it was a heart attack, then I heard that it was a spider bite, then I heard she had asthma.
You know, I think that's just one of those situations because she didn't know how she passed.
So there's what is she gonna say?
You know what I mean? That's kind of the thing. From her perspective, she just went to sleep.
Passings that occur under unexplainable circumstances or where there's an air of mystery can be really difficult for families to have a sense of closure about. In reality, on the other side, people acknowledge less of a significance on their final moments and put more of an emphasis on their life. So on their end, they're generally at peace and have closure, even when they don't completely understand what happened to them.
The frustration for my sister is what tears me apart.
Yeah.
That's what I cry about.
Sure. It's like when someone passes, it's normal to go through a period, I think, of like, you know, high intense emotions, but she's like saying, no, this has been going on since I passed away. There's just a frustration with it to the point where it's like, I want it to get dropped. I don't want people to worry about it. Like, for her, she doesn't want her entire life being equated to that mystery of her death.
You know, if she didn't suffer and if she's saying, don't worry, I'm gonna let that go.
Sure.
Tyler clarified to me that my sister wants our family to be at peace with her death. He couldn't really point the finger at how she passed, but that she didn't suffer. And I think certain details like that give you some relief. So I hope that clarifies things for our family as well as it did me. I don't need to do anything right now. I feel at peace.
She's been very direct
Yeah.
and very clear with how much she loves you. So please know that.
I love her too.
Absolutely.
I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You're very special.
Well, thank you for having me, and we'll all see you again, hopefully.
Definitely.
I'd love to.
Thank you
sounds
so
good.
much.
Thank you. I'm gonna give you a hug.
Yes, big hugs.
I'm feeling so overwhelmed. In my reading with Carmen, I really think that I was able to tell her that her loved ones were at peace. All right,
Thank you.
I will see you
Thank
soon.
you.
Thank you so much. Regardless of the circumstances, what led up to a passing, that doesn't define these people's entire lives. And that if anything, it's about moving forward and really establishing a new relationship with them in a different way.
He's so sweet. I want to go after him. Bye. It was good. I feel more at peace now about the passing of my mother and sister than I did before we talked. He's an absolute sweetheart.
My name is Brooke Burns. I'm pretty sure Tyler's not gonna recognize me. I think he's too young to remember me from Baywatch. Unless he's watching Hallmark Christmas movies with his mom, he may not know who I am. I'm so happy for you to be here.
Oh my gosh,
Please,
I'm so happy to be here.
in.
Thank you. Brooke actually looks familiar. I have no idea who she is.
I don't usually let people shoot in my home. I feel very protective about my home. But when I saw the show, I felt like it would be really important to connect with whoever might want to come and visit. Like they would come and visit me in my home. So glad that you're here.
Well, I'm so happy to be here. Before I start, I actually wanted to ask you, did you bring any objects by chance?
I do.
Awesome.
This is $1 million bill.
Wow. Well, I love it.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
This is not your payment.
I won't spend it in one place. Yeah, exactly. All right, so I'll start connecting. Thank you. Okay, I'm not sure which side of family. I mean, we're gonna kind of go all over the place here because I have a lot of people popping in. We're gonna think of kind of how to start here. I feel like I have to talk about a reference to a joke about a man who would work in an oil field, and they show me this very specifically, like oil fields, and that to me symbolically references to an individual who would be working in that kind of environment. When I see soot, that to me is always like an indication of like that type of environment. It just basically feels kind of like I want to take a shower. And it's like, I feel like it's like a weird reference to that pops in and comes through. Does that make sense?
Right on target.
Awesome, okay. Without giving away too much, who would that apply to?
My grandfather was a wildcatter.
Awesome.
My great-grandfather was a wildcatter oilman in Texas. He passed the family business down to my grandfather, Bobby Burns.
So I feel like I do want to highlight Grandpa. It's kind of one of the main energies that I kind of want to highlight. He seems to come through more on the other side than he would have necessarily been around in life. There is an acknowledgement of wishing that he would have handled things differently with your dad when it comes to certain ways of expressing himself, but there's an acknowledgement of their relationship. It's like your dad would be like a daddy's boy. Like there's a feeling of
He was
his
totally,
dad's son.
yeah. His dad was like his hero.
Like his rock.
Yeah.
It's like Had I known that I was going to pass, I would have said a lot more. I would have gotten a lot more out. A lot more, I'm proud of you, I love you. You know, of course, everybody, you know, wishes I could have said more, but.
My dad was only 21 at the time. And I think that my dad having his father taken so young, he definitely sought to be an extreme family man. He took us to school every morning and he was very present, you know, so I benefited from that aspect of him knowing time is short and we only have so much time with our children and it's really important to be present and to be there. You know, I very feel blessed to have still my mom and dad and, you know, I'm so close to them, but I have one question. This is, I guess, kind of more for my father, with his parents.
Right.
They died very tragically. I can give you a picture.
Sure.
Just curious as to, like, I guess they never really got like an explanation as to why, you know, these events happened. You know, he was 21, I guess, when they died. But just on his side, if there's anything else that comes up with like a reason or...
We'll see if there's anything, yeah. Okay, let me see. Thank you. What is this? The only impression that they're having me convey is an acknowledgement of there being questions about, when it comes to the circumstances of how this went, if... Oh God, how do I put this? It's like really rough to convey, but like... But there's this placement of responsibility. One person wasn't involved in the other person passing. The exact symbol is kind of a reference to another reading that I gave where, unfortunately, like a man contributed to his passing and his wife's passing, and it's kind of that type of a feeling. But that's incredibly hard to relay and to get into, you know, because it's so sensitive. But does that make sense?
Yeah, in reverse.
Yeah,
but
okay.
Not his choice, her choice.
Her choice, yeah.
My grandfather taught her how to use a gun, and she ended up shooting him and then shooting herself. My dad was 21. He had just been home to visit them, actually, for Father's Day, and had a beautiful time together. And then he was in law school. He and my mom were at SMU together. My mom was working at a bank, and he got a phone call saying, your parents died this morning. And he's like, he didn't believe them. And he hung up the phone. And then they called my mom at the bank and said, Brad's parents are gone. And he didn't believe us. He hung up the phone. So she left the bank and went home to be with him and was like, no, it's actually really happening.
The way this comes through is I'm referencing to here, and I'm going to brain, and I'm going to like the mental. And I don't even blame her, because there's this feeling of like, when I come through, I'm not who I was in life. Like, that doesn't define me. Now, the way that I would describe this is, I believe that when we pass away, we oftentimes go through a process of learning. You know, in life, we have our ego, we have our insecurities, our conditioning. And when we die, I believe that we kind of go through a process of stripping those things and those layers off of ourselves and basically understanding the impact our actions had on others and the actions that others had on us. And we take those lessons as a soul with us when we transition. Now, I feel like I have to reference to, this is interesting. Grandmother's having me acknowledge, hold on. Who would have the Elizabeth connection?
Elizabeth is my middle name.
Oh, nice.
My daughter's middle name.
Right? Your grandmother's having me a reference to your daughter and acknowledging being around your daughter, being around your daughter, being around your daughter. But please know, you know, those issues that she dealt with in life, she ultimately was free of in passing, but there is this acknowledgement of her ultimately kind of becoming progressively mentally unstable and paranoid as well. But please note, the acknowledgement is basically therapies.
This is my dad's mom and dad. This is Bobby Burns and Abigail.
Oh.
Abigail Hamilton Burns. I feel like I really wanted to have a message to take back to my dad and to have Bobby come through and say, I acknowledge that we had that father-son, as he said, daddy's little boy relationship. So I'm super excited to call my dad and share that with him.
This is kind of weird. Was there. Everyone's coming in at once to deliver this message. But they're aware of what's coming through as like what I would consider a near-death experience. Like a total shock, a feeling of like, but it's not vehicular. I'm gonna figure this one out. Just give me 1 sec to. Like all I can really say, you have a susceptibility to a back issue that I need to bring up. That'd be good to keep in mind, but I don't have a symbol in my plethora for what this is.
Do you want me to say what it is?
Sure.
I broke my neck diving into my swimming pool, and I had a out-of-body experience.
Wow.
But it's interesting that they are acknowledging that. That feels good.
That is fascinating. It's not every day that I meet somebody who's experienced a near-death experience like that.
And so I have a fusion in my neck.
Right.
And caused compression all the way down my spine, so I lost about 1 inch in height. But
wow.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Very lucky to be alive and walking.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah.
Like, how did that go? Did you experience anything or see anything when you had your out-of-body experience?
Yeah, I broke my neck actually in my swimming pool here, diving in, chin to chest, paralyzing break. And it was interesting because when I hit, I felt like excruciating pain and a blackout, but then immediately a whiteout and absence of pain. And it felt like there was someone who was like pulling me up with a string from the middle of my back.
Wow.
And I was sort of like an embryo, and I had this, I could see the pool, but I wasn't there, I was here. And in the absence of pain, though, I can remember the conscious or subconscious thought, no, I want to go back.
Right.
And as soon as that release happened of okay, you're going back, it was blackout, swallowing water, pain again.
Right.
I was like, wait, what did I ask for?
Yeah. Right.
Why did I do this? But I'd obviously never had that kind of feeling like you're in two places at one time.
Right.
Where you can see yourself in another location.
Absolutely.
That was kind of trippy.
That would be their way of acknowledging we're aware of this, we're around this.
One of the things that was really fascinating about him getting to the near-death experience in my own life that I'd never even thought of before was that my grandparents were actually there and aware and a part of, we know this happened to you, and really beautiful and comforting to look back on that experience and think people were meeting me and releasing me at the same time. And it makes me feel really good about that experience too, in a bizarre way. I have kind of an interesting picture to give you.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I'll just hold on to it, see if we see it.
Can I mention a name?
Yeah, absolutely.
Declan.
Okay, cool. We'll see what we can do. Let's see. Babies.
What'd you say?
Babies. I'm talking about babies. I'm hearing babies crying. I'm referencing to fertility. I'm talking about babies. Hearing babies crying. What is this? I'm very confused.
I'm pregnant.
You're pregnant? No way! I'm hearing baby crying. That's what it is. I love.
Look at the picture.
Congratulations. Oh, I love it. Well, that's why we're hearing babies crying. That's hilarious. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. Well,
nobody knows.
It's gonna be a crier.
Oh no, Declan.
I love that.
No, I wanted to bring it because I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. She's not with us yet, but she is.
Yes. Oh, that's so sweet. Congratulations. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. That's so exciting.
And nobody knows. Nobody in the press knows. I've just started telling people, so I was kind of curious. I wanted to give Tyler the exclusive. He's always surprising people, and we got to do a little surprise for him. Is there any way I could keep the little drawing?
Of course, absolutely. We got it all. We might help on the presentation, but...
Oh my gosh. That reminds me of our family. Oh. Total chaos.
Thank you so much. You were so sweet. It was so amazing. Definitely
came in as a believer, but having some unanswered questions in my own life and in my family's lives. And I'm just so happy to know that I have some clarity and some peace on those exact subjects. And we really covered it all.